Hey everybody, and welcome to Britpop Straight to me, BP1 and BP2. We've got a request for you today, and he's waited a long time for it, Mark. Much appreciated with all the emails and everything that we'll be sending forth. We did have a problem with his original request, but we are here today with 52 kamikazes attack a single destroyer, USS Laffey, in 1945.
Okay,
we're going to find out a bit about this. I mean, that just sounds awful. Just reading the title of the video, knowing nothing, pretty much.
Thank you for your patience, Mark, and for sending over the suggestions. So this is an animated short from the operations room. We are going to sort of start a section on historical events, so stay tuned.
Yeah, we don't
like to learn stuff
too much. Yeah, so we are going to go back and start listening, looking at stuff historically across sport and information and stuff like that. So and even comedy, going back and checking stuff out. But yeah, certainly very much in history.
Chuck them in the comments. But 52 kamikazes, obviously kamikaze aeroplanes attacking one single destroyer. Let's get into this. Animated.
Oh, yeah.
One of those ones. Okay.
One of those ones. All right, let's get into it.
Good animations.
Indeed, yes. So this is a YouTube channel, the Operations Room. So
go and check those guys out.
This video is brought to you by CuriosityStream, a subscription streaming service that offers thousands of documentaries and non-fiction titles from some of the world's best filmmakers, including exclusive originals. It's the first ever video streaming service for people who want to learn, and it's 20 AM on April the 16th. Just $1.25 per month.
That's their plug. We'll let them plug.
At 8:20 AM on April the 16th, 1945, the radar operator aboard the Alan Sumner-class destroyer USS Laffey alerts Captain Frederick Becton to a large formation of unidentified aircraft approaching his vessel from the north. Captain Becton looks at the radar screen and remarks that the display has so many dots that it looks like an advanced case of chickenpox.
Wow.
Becton sounds general quarters, and the destroyer prepares for action. Fireman First Class Jim Spriggs is on his way to his battle station when he notices a group of sharks swimming alongside the warship. He shivers at the thought of falling overboard, not knowing that the water will soon be the safest place to be.
Oh, goodness me.
The Laffey is supporting the invasion of Okinawa, which began 2 weeks earlier. It is also at this time that the Japanese have fully unleashed the terrifying kamikazes, suicide pilots which overwhelm American air defences and dive their bomb-laden planes into US naval warships. Captain Becton and his crew have seen the devastating effects of the kamikaze from their time in port at Ulithi, having shared the harbour with shattered American warships undergoing major repairs. To combat the kamikaze threat, Admiral Chester Nimitz orders US ships to set up radar pickets around Okinawa to provide early warning for incoming raids. The Laffey is currently on its third day at Picket Station Number 1, the northernmost radar picket and the closest to Japan. The destroyer will be the first American ship sighted by kamikaze pilots as they fly towards Okinawa. It is something every sailor on the Laffey has been dreading. Just before 8:30 AM, an endless stream of 165 Japanese aircraft appear on the northern horizon, approaching Laffey.
165.
Seaman First Class Pressburger looks up at the aerial armada from his 20mm gun and concludes that he has 5 minutes to live.
Eesh.
Captain Becton phones the engine room, "Give us all you've got," and orders the destroyer to flank speed. However, he loses radio contact with the small combat air patrol of 6 Corsairs posted to protect his ship. The American planes fly off to meet the enemy head-on, just as Laffey's 5-inch guns open fire. Most of the Japanese planes continue towards Okinawa to search for bigger targets, but many pilots decide to attack the Laffey instead. A group of 6 dive bombers splits off from the main group and dives towards the small destroyer. They assume standard kamikaze attack formation. 2 aircraft each fly towards the bow and the stern of their target, while the other 2 swing around to attack the port and starboard sides respectively. This way, the Laffey cannot direct anti-aircraft fire in any one direction. The crewmen will have to work together to focus on the most immediate threat, while Captain Becton takes evasive manoeuvres from the bridge. The first 2 Vals attack head-on. One is destroyed 5 miles out from a direct hit from a 5-inch shell,
5 miles.
while the other is brought down 3,000 yards away from the ship. The 2 Vals attacking from the stern are also destroyed short of their target. Lieutenant Frank Manson watches as the starboard side Kamikaze is shredded to the point of looking like flaming confetti and crashes into the ocean.
Wow.
However, the port side Kamikaze bears down and strafes the pilot house. At the last moment, Captain Becton swings the ship to port, which allows his anti-aircraft guns to fire a full broadside.
Wow.
The Judy
That's
dive bomber
close.
explodes just 50 yards from the Laffey, causing casualties on deck from shrapnel, but no serious damage to the ship. The crew cheers, having brought down all 6 attackers. 7 minutes pass before another wave of kamikazes descends on the ship.
Wow.
Unbelievable,
A
isn't
Val
it?
swoops in
Yeah.
and charges through a hailstorm of tracers towards Laffey. Gunner's mate, 2nd class Lawrence Deluski, is captaining the aft 5-inch gun turret when one of the barrels jams.
Ugh.
Deluski jumps down from the turret hatch and whacks the mount with a hammer. The gun springs back into action just as the Val clips the turret hatch and cartwheels into the sea. Deluski, along with the Laffey, have survived their first hit through sheer luck. 5 minutes later, a
So, just
Yep.
as we're watching it, so we had wave 1, wave
Yes.
2, which they've survived. I mean, just knowing, kamikaze pilots, I mean, what must be going through your mind, to have to put yourself in that place? And it makes you think now, up to date in 2023, with the drones that we've got, and the sizable, piloted, non-human piloted vehicles that we can actually produce now. It's quite a scary thought, isn't it? Because, even ships out there that are happy days, yes, obviously they've got the firepower, but if you had enough of them,
Yeah, overwhelm it.
you could.
Well, like I say, and also the missiles and things that they've got nowadays, they can fire it and forget it and move on, But I mean, 165 planes, 165 people going up in a plane knowing they're not coming back is something else as well, isn't it? Just to say it's a one-way mission.
Absolutely, yeah. And then all being in formation, flying through, they all know, and they would have been guided by the lead, the lead of the flank. Yeah, it's sorry state.
Yeah, it's very
everyone.
thought-provoking, isn't
Everybody.
it? Yeah. And
Sad.
like I say, the guys on that ship, they're trying their best to sort of fend off attack after attack. So, all right, mate. I mean, it's horrendous to even think about it, but let's crack it on.
Let's crack on.
Judy comes in low at the starboard side towards Pressburger's station. The Judy bears down and Pressburger can see the pilot's goggles before it is smashed just short of the destroyer. The attacks subside and Becton takes stock of his situation. The Laffey has barely suffered a scratch, but the surface radar which can detect low-flying incoming aircraft has been damaged by shrapnel.
Okay.
He must now rely upon the ship's lookouts to identify targets. There are
That's
still no
not good.
communications from any friendly aircraft, as once again the sky darkens with Japanese planes.
Wow.
Seaman First Class Thomas Fern spots an incoming Judy coming in low from the port side. His 40mm gun crew scores several hits on the target, but the Judy refuses to go down. With a sickening feeling, Fern realises the plane is going to hit. He instinctively covers his face with his hands at the last minute as the Judy's landing gear strikes his gun mount and cartwheels into the sea. Burning aviation fuel covers the deck, but Laffey has survived another close call. Fern and his comrades throw spare ammunition and depth charges overboard to keep them from exploding. Suddenly, a Val appears out of nowhere and isn't spotted until it is far too late. Deluski's gun crew can't train on the target fast enough, and the Val along with its bomb explodes against the 5-inch gun turret. Almost immediately, another Val drops a 1,000-pound bomb against Deluski's turret, which pierces the deck plating and explodes within the ship. Captain Becton orders the aft magazine flooded to prevent the shells from detonating.
Gotcha.
The onslaught continues when the destroyer suffers another direct hit from a bomb, which knocks out hydraulic steering. The Laffey is now in a desperate situation. It can only sail in a circle, with most aft anti-aircraft guns knocked out of action. A half-an-hour lull allows for some damage control, but at 9:15 AM, more kamikazes target the now wounded ship. She takes another direct hit in the undefended stern from a kamikaze Val. The Val's bomb bounces across the deck and comes to rest against the depth charge rack. A group of sailors run through the fire and toss the bomb overboard.
No way.
5 minutes later, Lieutenant Manson looks up to see more than 20 Japanese aircraft circling the Laffey like vultures.
Oh,
This is it, he thinks to himself. However, he spots more aircraft coming in. A group of Marine Corsairs along with Navy Wildcats and Hellcats pounce on the unsuspecting Japanese attackers. The Corsairs are specialised kamikaze hunters from the carrier USS Intrepid, nicknamed the Grim Reapers. Marines to the rescue,
wow.
just like Hollywood, exclaims Manson. A dogfight breaks out above Laffey as the American pilots try to drive the kamikazes away from the destroyer. The Grim Reapers, along with the naval aviators, shoot down multiple Japanese planes, but more dive in to the attack. Signalman Second Class Thomas McCarthy watches as an Oscar screams towards Laffey, followed closely by a Grim Reaper on its tail. American anti-aircraft gunners fire too low, afraid of hitting the Corsair. The Oscar and the Corsair both clip the mast with their wings. The Oscar crashes into the sea, while the Corsair pilot manages to bail out. McCarthy watches as the American flag on the mast flutters to the ground. "We've got to get that back up there," he shouts to a crewmate. McCarthy retrieves a new flag and braves the swirling battle around him to hoist a new ensign above the ship. Despite the American planes winning the aerial battle, another Judy manages to slip through and bomb the Laffey's already scorched stern section at 9:45 AM. Lieutenant Manson informs Captain Becton, "We're in pretty bad shape aft," before asking, "Do you think we'll have to abandon ship?" Becton, who earlier commanded the destroyer USS Aaron Ward, which was sunk by the Japanese in 1943, responds angrily, "Hell no, Frank. I'll never abandon ship as long as a gun will fire." The final attack begins with one Val and one Judy coming head-on towards Laffey. Seaman Philippe Salcido shouts, "Down, Captain, down," and tackles Captain Becton as the Val strafes the bridge. It drops a bomb which detonates on the forward 20mm gun emplacement. The Val peels off, but is then splashed by a Grim Reaper. The Judy heads straight for the bridge from the port side as Lieutenant Manson dives under the small navigational table, certain that this is the end. A massive explosion rocks the bridge, but the Laffey has not taken a direct hit. Another Corsair has destroyed the Judy at the last second.
Wow.
Suddenly, the din of battle gives way to quiet. The officers on the bridge look up to a clear sky, save for American fighters circling above. To Captain Becton's amazement, the radar screen is clear of all hostile aircraft. The USS Laffey survives the battle despite suffering 4 bomb hits and 6 kamikaze strikes, although at the cost of 32 crewmen killed and another 71 wounded. Laffey is later towed to Okinawa and then Saipan for repairs. She is decommissioned and used in the Bikini Atoll nuclear bomb tests. Laffey is then recommissioned for the Korean War and continues to serve until 1975. The ship that would not die is now a floating museum in Charleston, South Carolina.
Goodness me. I mean, it's not that massive, is it, as well, you know?
Wow. I mean, that is so interesting. I mean, you just can't think of...
And that's just one example of,
that's just one example
what was going on.
I've got. Oh, mate. Unbelievable.
So I had a quick look. So the length of the ship in total was only 376 feet. It had a crew of 336 crewmen on there, so small ship, massive. A lot of people, you know, must be very, very small and contained. Obviously, you could see the amount of ships and armament it had on it, but to come under that sort of sustained attack and you know, not really many places to hide out and away. Unbelievable.
It's not mobile at the best of times, are they, ships?
No.
So, you know, once you've lost your steering. Steering?
It was stirring around. Steering, yep.
I mean, yeah, it must have been an one of those ones where you just, unless you were there and you were doing that, you would never be able to experience that.
No.
Ever.
I mean, fair play to the operations room. Did a good job there.
Really did, yeah. Love the animations.
Gave us a good insight to what was going on, and the sort of the live pictures at the end as well.
Good history.
Still there.
Good history as well. You know, knowing that the captain, you know, under the table. You know, I'm not going to abandon ship until until the last gun is gone. So some really good information in that. So wow. Thank you, Mark. Didn't know that at all.
Didn't know that one. No, not at all.
No, so it's really interesting to hear about that, and another jigsaw piece put in the brain. Really, I mean, we all know kamikaze pilots. Yeah, we've heard of it.
Yep.
But to see it in an actual,
sort of one that sticks out. But
Pearl Harbor,
you know, the battles that took place for Okinawa. Yeah, thank you very much, Mark. Very interesting indeed.
Indeed. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today at BritPop's React. Do join us tomorrow for another reaction. Until then, just leaves us to say it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from him over there. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.